Republican lawmaker in Albany is joining the Democratic bandwagon, pushing to bring wine to grocery stores. Of course, there's a catch. Senator George Borrello announcing legislation allowing grocery stores to sell wine, but only if it's produced in New York. He says this proposal would help family farms and local vineyards. New York is the third largest wine-producing state nationwide. According to the New York Wine and Grape Foundation, the New York wine industry generates well over $6.6 billion in economic benefits for the state each year. Those almost 500 wineries provide almost 72,000 jobs and bring in 4.7 million visitors every year. Tonight, our 7 News reporter Althea Castro de la Mata is taking a closer look at this new legislation, sharing voices from both sides of the debate, including those from a local winery, a liquor store, and lawmakers.
Riesling, of course, is one of New York's best-known wines.
Jim Baker, owner of Chateau Niagara Winery in Newfane, says he and his wife built the winery from the ground up nearly 20 years ago.
We're really blessed with the right climate and the right soil conditions to make really classic, old-world, cool climate wines.
Baker says he's thankful for a community that believes in staying local and says this is the main essence of what his winery stands for.
There's so much of the movement in the world today is to eat local, buy local. So many chefs talk about having a local meal, a 100-mile meal, and then they bring in wines from California or France. And I'm like, what is that?
And this is what one proposed bill wants to encourage. Senator George Borrello has introduced legislation that would allow grocery stores in New York to sell wine, but only if it's produced within the state, with the goal of supporting local wineries and protecting small producers. According to the New York Wine and Grape Foundation, the state's wine industry contributes over $6.5 billion in direct economic impact to the state.
That's one of those also New York grown certified sustainable.
Baker says he believes this will be a game changer in the local wine industry.
This is a win-win situation across the board. I think so. In general, I'm pretty happy with how this goes. I don't want to see any of my friends and colleagues in the small businesses get hurt with this.
I think it's kind of going to be a Trojan horse where it can be a slippery slope.
Store manager for Airport Discount Wine and Spirits, Stephen Arachai-Pravinsky, says that if this bill passes, it will make things more competitive.
If it's a fair trade, it makes sense, but it seems like the bill supports kind of the grocery store chains.
Arachai-Pravinsky says liquor stores in New York State already have many regulations to follow in order to stay open, and wine is a big part of their sales. If this bill passes, that increased competition will make things more difficult for them. But that could change if liquor stores were allowed to sell other products too.
They want 7-Up or Coke or ginger ale mixed with their stuff. If you could have a little bit of food and beverage, it'd be at least we're finally getting something to somewhat even the pendulum. We might lose the New York wine, but if it helps New York as a whole.
This bill still needs to pass legislation before it becomes law. Althea Castro de la Mata, 7 News, Lockport.